Trustee Andreessen, Trustee Frost,
Here.
Trustee Vela,
Here.
and President Skillman.
Here, thank you. Please stand for a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next. We have no proclamations, no appointments. Public comment. I think someone snuck in the door at the last second. Oh, look at him. He's here. Hi, Chris. No, that's okay. But before Chris gets going, I just wanted to announce to everybody, which everybody probably knows already, that the Main Street Hill is open 10 days early. Good job, Kevin. Yay. Took him, what, three years or something like that? Or
2 years.
Oh, 2 years. It felt like 3.
2 years and 3 days, right?
So so it's all done. It looks good. People are happy. So Huntley Road looks good, Route 31. I mean, it's all coming together. So it looks nice, but
That's what I want to say, actually. It was, congratulations. I went that way this morning.
yeah, it's nice.
People were driving in strange places, like on the road. They didn't have to turn.
Going up the hill.
I know.
Yeah,
Everybody's
Where's he going? He's
coming down the hill though. The little problem though, Kevin, because you have a left turn lane on the Lincoln, and then you have a right turn lane. People are veering in to go into the center to go straight. It's going to be a problem.
I think it's going to take some time.
Yeah.
Like hold it down for construction, it's going to take time for people to do the
Yeah, it's a little different because we're coming down 2, and then all of a sudden you're going. I don't know if there's any signage we could. I don't know. I think the PD are going to be busy with accidents, so minor little fender benders, but until people
Hopefully.
figure it out.
It's a learning process. I think Kevin had it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I almost learned the hard way today.
We don't want you on the record.
But I was in my truck, so I didn't care.
There were just 2 things for the county today I want
Yes.
to mention. Well, besides the intergovernmental agreement, which I understand is on the agenda to be passed, which congratulations on that. And
Thank you.
hopefully that sounds like everything is moving forward to get the entire amount, so we're all excited about that. There's,
Yeah, it's
and get that,
great news.
hopefully
Yeah.
by the end of the month, which is coming up really quick. In environment and energy, we're having the 5-year solid waste plan, just a notification that up until the 26th, there's a public comment. The public can make comment on the 5-year plan for solid waste for the county. And then in transportation, we are working, they have a draft 2050 plan for transportation, and the public can also comment on that, and the comments should be included in those documents as they are formulated over the next little bit. Those were the 2 things I had, or unless there's questions. But
I do
hopefully
have a
everything-
question. How is Long Meadow Bridge coming?
Long Meadow, we just passed, I can't say I voted for it, so the committee just passed the toll for they call it the back room collection of money for the consultation to set that up for the tolling. It's scheduled to be open next year, and the tolling will begin, I believe, the year following.
Oh,
Just right
get a
after
year
that.
off.
So it's,
Good.
and if you've been down Bolts Road, you'll know that they are making great progress on the road itself. It's,
Yeah.
Just, I don't see no ramp to the bridge, nothing.
You don't see any rhyme to the bridge?
No
Ramp.
ramp.
Oh,
Ramp
no,
onto the bridge.
that'll be completed, but it's,
Later.
yeah, it goes along with that project between 25 and Sandbloom. And there'll be the roundabout. They were just pouring the concrete this morning on the road that leads from Sandbloom up the hill. So, no, they're making great progress. I mean,
Yeah.
it's moving fast. And it's on schedule.
Yeah. It looks
So
good.
You'll be able to pay your 95 cents to get across to Randall Road soon,
Oh.
and then 95 cents to come back. Now, one of the things they are doing is part of the back room project, they call it, is that there'll be, you can buy a permit that allows you, like $200 permit for residents of Kane County and Algonquin, And you can use it as many times as you want to. So that if you use it 5 days a week, twice a day, you would get it down to 35 cents a trip, something like that,
Nice.
38 cents a
That's a
trip.
good idea.
Annually, $200.
At $200 annually. Now, if you paid your $200 and only used it once a week or less than once a week, it's just going to cost you $200.
Yeah.
I'm still pushing to get us across for free if we're in King County, because we're paying for it anyway, but
People on the west side will hopefully use it. Yeah.
we'll see.
Okay.
It'll tell.
Definitely semis and trailers will not be using it. Because if it's 95 cents for a vehicle, an 18-wheeler is going to be what, $4?
It's going to be set up so that they can use it. The tolling is set up to identify the vehicles as they come across as a double axle or larger, and so they expect truck traffic across there. It's not easy to drive a truck through downtown Algonquin, so
Or Carpentersville.
they may be taking that as,
Hopefully they use it. They will. They will.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item, consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a trustee so requests, in which the event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. So we have,
I would like item C to be removed. I thank Chief Schilling for all the explanation. I just got more questions on it.
okay.
And we can proceed. Trustee Garcia has removed it, so it'll be taken up under new business at this point.
Okay, so we can go back to items A, B, and D, correct?
Yes.
And I need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda A, B, and D.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by trustee Frost, second by trustee O'Sullivan to approve items A, B, and D of the consent agenda. Roll call, please.
Trustee Malone,
Yes.
Trustee O'Sullivan,
Yes.
Trustee Frost,
Yes.
Trustee Vela,
Yes.
Trustee Garcia,
Yes.
and President Skillman.
Yes, consent agenda items A, B, and D have been approved. Next items, reports of the manager and staff.
Thank you, President Skillman. Just a few items before we get to new business. One, for those of you who weren't aware, the census count officially ended on October 15th. The Supreme Court ruled that the administration could end census count earlier than the end of the month deadline, and so all counting has ceased, barring any future court orders or administrative changes. And just wanted to thank all the different groups and the county and Public Works for putting up signs, and we tried to get as good of a count as we could. COVID did not help that situation, and we're hoping that the numbers come back with a good and accurate reflection of our community, because it does affect federal dollars for the next decade that'll be coming to us. Speaking of federal dollars, the CARES Act, IGA, which we're approving tonight, is really, this is one of the final steps with that. In conjunction, as we approach the end of the year, we are going to be looking at our options under FEMA for funds that were not reimbursed under CARES that may be eligible for FEMA reimbursement. FEMA does not reimburse dollar for dollar the way the county CARES Act is, but it's a 75%. You cannot double dip, so a fund that was reimbursed, a dollar reimbursed in CARES cannot be requested for FEMA. So we're going to be, reviewing and seeing what we might be able to capture in an attempt to get more federal dollars in. Chief Schilling was on a webinar today talking about the number of FEMA grants is down. They were looking at streamlining and simplifying the application process to encourage more people to apply. So we will be following that, but looking late this year, early of next year for those timelines and trying to get more funds with that. We did receive word that we had applied for, Kevin and Ed told me a federal grant was approved for L.W. Biesinger work. So that was applied for beginning of this year. And we got notification that we received that. So in this year's budget recommendation, there's some funds, because it's a matching grant, we will be putting in requests so we can receive those dollars, which are ultimately reimbursed to the village to get that project completed. COVID-related, if you haven't seen the news, the governor did do a shutdown or mitigation efforts, including Region 8, which includes DuPage and Kane County. That means our 3-day rolling average has been over 8%. And as part of this, the biggest difference is restaurants and bars are no longer going to be allowed to have indoor seating. This is, not good for our restaurants, as, they've been suffering with COVID. As it is, outdoor seating, if there is a tent, it has to be 2 sides need to be open. There's some restrictions on heating. Seating still must be 6 feet apart. Capacity, even outside, is 25 people or 25% of outside capacity, whichever is less. So that's not a huge area for a lot of our establishments to try to deal with. These will be in effect until our 3-day rolling average for positivity drops below 6.5%. And our area, where are we at, 9 currently?
For Region 8, we're at about.
So we've got a little ways to go to get that trending downward. The governor has been releasing information. We're going to unpack that. Ben and his staff are compiling it to share with our restaurants tomorrow, and they had just been out last week talking about how to deal with the change to cold weather from the outdoor seating, and now we're, obviously going to be dealing with this and try to address and assist them however we can to, make it less painful if we can do that. The only other thing I have then is a reminder, Audit and Finance Commission meeting will be next Monday and Tuesday at 6 p.m. With staff and myself making budget recommendations and asking for input on various issues.
Well, yeah, we might have to go virtual on that. We can
It is
talk
an
more
option.
about it, decide if we need to, or,
And the virtual, and I did speak with Attorney Stewart, the virtual options are still allowed. So if the preference would be for audit and finance or for future board meetings, we can go back into the virtual realm.
yeah, so we can talk, we have a little bit of time still, but, Public Works is spread out pretty good, but depending on how many people show up,
So we can keep pretty good spacing. And like I mentioned last time, even members who aren't, or trustees who aren't members of Audit and Finance are encouraged to attend and participate. It is a public meeting and a good time to answer questions.
Or we could do it either way, right? They can
Yeah.
do it at home. We could, yeah, why don't we just set it up for that, Kevin? We'll set up Zoom for the next week.
Yeah, if that's the preference,
If somebody doesn't want to come or they can't attend, at least they can,
then staff will plan on setting it up as a virtual meeting both those nights.
if the board could,
The law says we have to have at least one person physically present at the meeting, most likely myself. We are allowed to send the attorney, but he's not generally at Audit and Finance. I will work with Kevin and Greg to see if we can, it gets tougher when you're doing multiple, broadcasting and virtual, which is why when we were doing virtual earlier, it was easier to have everyone on Zoom than a combination. But if it's easy enough to do, we'll look at that option. But I'll review that tomorrow, and next day we'll see what we come up with and get an answer to everyone.
And then just like before too, there will be an option for public to join or public comment to email someone beforehand, which we'll include.
yeah, but we'll be muting them. But there'll be public comment, correct?
Correct. They'll have an option to submit.
Yeah, option. Right, Kevin? The help button. So, okay, anything else?
That's it, unless there's any questions.
Any questions? No? Thank you. Next item, old business, we have none. New business, we have a couple items tonight to go through.
I'd like to recuse myself from item A, as it involves my employer.
Okay, thank you. We'll do one item at a time. So item A, letter A, we will do a resolution approving put option agreement between Auto Engineering and the Village of Carpentersville. So Brad would do discussion.
Certainly your discretion, President Skillman, we could do discussion before asking for a motion,
Yeah.
if
Usually
that's
we-
what you would
yeah.
prefer.
Usually we have a motion, but,
Or you could ask for a motion.
yeah, we have a motion for that.
I'll make a motion for new business A.
Okay, motion by trustee Frost.
Second.
Second by trustee Humberto. And then discussion, please. If any discussion,
What's our current status with it?
our current status.
Yes.
Right now, there,
The short version.
yeah, Ben, do you want to give a quick update, or Eric?
Ben,
And can you provide as much detail, please?
If you do, can you go to the mic, though?
Is that okay, Ben? If we-
Yeah.
Or you want to do it?
I'll answer what I can if there's follow-up or some detail.
Sorry, Ben.
So when we started with the Phase 1 agreement to do some of the exploration to the property, environmental studies, engineering costs, the Phase 1 agreement, I think we had approved about up to $92,000 for those studies. All those came back, reviewing the various structural aspects. There were no environmental concerns. As part of that agreement, we received copies and rights to use that information, whether or not we move forward with Otto and Mr. Roser or a different developer. Also, the final cost on that came back almost half. I think it was $48,000 was the final cost on that, which was a good sign. As we move forward through the process and got the initial studies back, Mr. Roser and his team, architects, engineers, different planning groups, started looking at the property to see what they were willing or wanting to do with it. Initially, he had devised a plan for a residential unit. I want to say potentially 90-something units, different combination of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom is a possibility. Looking at his costs and what he was comfortable putting in and what the TIF district could support, the numbers were too far apart to make it financially viable for either party to move forward with it. On subsequent meetings, and we'd reviewed different options and different things the village had done in the past, looking at past deals such as Walmart, the Auto Tech Center, Bricks, and just other TIF policies and procedures for different businesses. It was just, we were too far apart, to get anything done. In a subsequent meeting with Mr. Roser, an option was discussed, which is kind of became the seed of what we have here today, was that he was willing to move forward with purchasing the property. He had an option to purchase the property, which runs through approximately the end of this month with the agreed upon purchase price with the owner from Florida. One of the things that staff was concerned about and is concerned about if Mr. Roser walked away from the deal was previous problems with different developers who had attempted to purchase the property and working with the current owner. The current owner had a price of around $2 million that they were standing pretty firm on. They would negotiate with the person for some period of time, use that as leverage in a way with the village to kind of hold off on the litigation, which was also pending and moving forward. So village would pause, while negotiations were going on, seemingly in good faith. The deal would fall apart, and we kept, back and forth. As the board has been updated at various times, litigation has been ongoing with that property for, I want to say, about 3 years, maybe a little bit more.
I think initial code enforcement efforts go back closer to 4 years at this point.
Yeah.
So we do have a long history with this property. Looking at TIF eligible expenses, which we had anticipated, should we end up condemning, or if we were able to condemn or win a court victory for that, demolition costs are something that is TIF eligible and something that we anticipated any future developer, regardless of who it is, was going to be asking for. Also, purchase price is something that is TIF eligible, and we anticipated a developer looking for. With this deal, Mr. Roser would be buying the property and would be helping to look for a developer to purchase it from him and turn it over to someone who wants to work with the village to do something. There is some safety built in because of the scope of the project and the expense. It'd be either a developer who was willing to come in and foot 100% of the bill, which would be a win, but most likely it's going to be a TIF request, which would give us control. It can't, realistically, it's not just going to be purchased by someone and put up something that is not what the village would deem as befitting that corner and in the best interest of the village. There is that chance. I don't believe it's going to happen, also because with the proximity to Otto and the location, that's also part of his interest in it, wanting it to be a proper and a nicer looking building, not necessarily the same as his, but having respect for the look and feel of the town on that busy intersection. This agreement gives Mr. Roser the option with, after a year, by December of next year, if a dealer is not identified, that he would sell it to us at costs that have been incurred. These are actual costs. There's not an escalator built in for profit margin, and would reflect, actual bills and reflect where it's been going. He's also agreed, in good faith, to share with us, as things progress, not looking for just an open or blank opportunity to go. So he wants to really be a partner on this project from our conversations going forward. The way staff is viewing it is it's a victory in the fact that theoretically within a month the property would be out of the current owner's hands and in the hands of someone who wants to work with us to develop it. We do have the option to walk away. Mr. Roser has not finalized the agreement yet. He has through the end of the month, and he's comfortable with walking away. We can continue litigation on and moving forward with the property. And I cannot sit here, and I don't think the attorney can sit here giving any definitive timeline on when we'd be able to realistically see next steps. In our most recent meeting, and Mr. Roser said I was able to share this publicly at the board, that their intention, if purchasing, would be to have the building demolished by the end of this year. Assuming that permitting through the state, obviously our local staff is ready to permit and go, but assuming the state permitting and there's no quirk that holds it up, but to get it down as we're opening up that corner, which should be the crown jewel of our community, would get that moving forward. Mr. Roser at this point has indicated he's not in the development business, which is part of the reason why we weren't able to get as close as we wanted to, but does have an interest in getting it developed. So I do believe he wants to work with the village to find a proper developer. Also, without naming names, the village has had conversations with other developers who have use ideas that fit with what we would like to see long term and would be beneficial both aesthetically and for a tax base for the village going forward. Additionally, if Mr. Roser were able to get this property, he's agreed to try to put us in contact with people he knows in the development world. And the village has had previous conversations over the years with different developers who weren't able to come to terms with the current ownership group. So we have the option to reach out to them too. So we have multiple options. Staff's belief is that this is our best option for if we want to see development possibility in 2021. I'm not going to sit here and guarantee that something's going to go up, but if we were to go back the litigation route, which is a viable option, probably realistically at least 6 months to a year before we get to that next step, because even if we got one of those other developers to spark an interest as we've had in the past, the sale has always been the sticking point, and we don't have any options with that. The demolition price in here, it's Mr. Roser's purchase option is approximately $1.1 million, which is down from the 2 that she was originally asking. Demolition cost, Ben has spoken with the construction company who they're looking at and been working with, getting quotes on. It's realistically hard cost around $675-ish, give or take. And that would be demolishing down to the garage, keeping the underground garage so that it remains a TIF-eligible project. Most of the developers see an advantage in keeping that garage because that'll save costs on future development and it's usable. It keeps it a redevelopment project versus a new project, which the TIF laws, require for this. It'll not waterproof, or is it?
Still being determined.
There's two layers. I'm going to mess up. There's watertight, waterproof. Whichever is the lower of the two is the option we're looking for. So it keeps water out, seals it. But with the hopeful nature of conversations we had with different developers, we don't necessarily at this point want to move forward with the higher level of sealing the garage because we believe the cost could be anywhere between $200,000, $250,000 more than the lower level. And if we had something within the next year, it's really, the differential is not worth the cost sunk into it. If it sits there vacant, for an extended period of time, it's obviously something that the village or Mr. Roser could take a look at, depending on what he does. That's kind of a general overview. I don't know if our attorney or Ben have anything that I'm missing or that's glaringly.
No, that was good. No, thank you.
I'll just add to kind of emphasize in terms of any new development that would come before the village at that corner would go through a zoning hearing and review by the village board, certainly as well as part of a planned unit development process. So although there isn't a specific project or development concept that's before the village at this time, just to kind of underscore what Manager Johnson was explaining, that the village would have the ability to review whatever plans the developer might come in with and go through the normal process for scrutiny and review of those plans. So.
Very good.
Okay,
Thank
any
you, guys.
questions?
And obviously, any TIF expenditure or ask would require board approval as well.
Yeah, of course. Okay. All right, so we're back to our motion. We have a motion on the table and a second to this resolution to approve the option. So I'm looking for a roll call, please.
Trustee Frost,
Yes.
Trustee Vela,
Yes.
Trustee Garcia,
Yes.
Trustee Malone,
Yes.
and President Skillman.
Yes. Motion carries, and we can get Trustee O'Sullivan back, please. So Brad, I need a motion then.
On item B, correct,
Item C.
is item 7C from the consent agenda, which you'd be looking for a motion to approve a resolution for the purchase of an ambulance from Foster Coach Sales in the amount stated,
And then we can
272.
discuss, okay.
150. And it would be your discretion, President Skillman, whether to entertain discussion on the front end or after a motion has been made.
Motion, I'm looking for a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion for C,
Item C,
To approve.
to approve.
approve the purchase of the ambulance. We have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second, Trustee Malone, and now we can discuss it. So Trustee Garcia had questions?
I don't have a problem with the purchase of the ambulance. I don't understand how a vehicle with these specifications, the used vehicle, is worth only $2,500. The tires are worth more than $2,500. Why don't we fix it and put it as a backup?
Because the cost of the backup would be more than the value of the vehicle. Number one, it's approximately $19,000 to replace the motor. And then with the program that we have put in place with the purchase of this new ambulance, the cot loading system and the cot itself, which is a total value of about $45,000, is going to be transferred to the new ambulance. If we would use that as a backup ambulance, we'd have to have that same cot loading system, which would either stay in that one or we would incur another $45,000 cost on top of the new ambulance.
Right, and then isn't there a question on that motor anyways, that 6.0?
The 6.0 liter motor has been problematic industry-wide, not just in ambulances, but other vehicles as well with the same motor.
Okay.
I do have a question. What's the warranty on the new ambulance? Because to the best of my knowledge, this ambulance that we are replacing had an engine replacement 5 years ago. So the engine lasted 5 years, roughly 50,000 miles, and now it's bad again?
Not aware of that, no.
Yeah, Ford replaced the engine 5 years ago.
Okay.
So the warranty is what on it?
I want to know what's the warranty on the new ambulance.
I don't
Is there a
have-
warranty?
Yes, there's a full factory warranty from International for the chassis, and then there's an additional warranty from Foster Coach and Horton Ambulance for the box of the ambulance, the wiring between the chassis and the ambulance. I don't have the specifics on
Is
the
this,
warranty.
I don't recall this. Do they have that airbag system now in it and everything? Is that standard now, or like in the back?
For personal
The
protection
new
for crash?
ambulances?
There's rollover protection, but I don't believe it's airbags in the back, no. But we do have an upgraded seat.
remember if that-
There's an upgraded seat harness system for all the paramedic seats.
Yeah. I didn't know if they made that like a standard thing now, or.
I just have a question on the amount for the old one. Is there just an abundance of ambulances out there because of the times, or, you know, I mean,
That is part of the industry issue right now is ambulances are being built because there's a lot of money from the federal government to purchase ambulances. So there's a lot of trade-in, which lowers the value of any other trade-in. It's also going to flood the market with used ambulances. And yes, they're only showing $2,500, but if they were to take that ambulance and resell it, they would, number one, have to put a brand-new motor in it at whatever cost they can get a motor for. Plus, they'd have to refurbish the entire ambulance to make it marketable, which includes all the, repainting of everything, refurbishing the inside, probably new electronics and lighting packages, which is pretty considerable cost, if they choose to market that and replace it.
I do have another question. It says that we got to deliver the ambulance to the dealer that we're purchasing the ambulance from.
Yes.
And that is, where is that dealership at, or that manufacturer?
It's in
Sterling?
Sterling, Illinois.
Do we have a cost? on the
Approximately
towing?
$500. That was from our local towing company.
Can we try to get that from the dealer?
Oh, we have tried.
And it don't work?
No.
So it's,
I wish we were closer to the border, dude.
I mean,
It'll make a lot of people happy down there.
we have a backup, well, it doesn't run right now, but we already have a backup. I mean, this is the fourth ambulance, really.
Yeah, the
Reserve.
one is being taken, well, it's replacing is going to in reserve.
Yeah. So it's.
So it
not-
is a,
So we
if you-
really don't want two, we don't need
Backups.
two reserves.
we don't need to, no.
No, there's no reason for that in the world, you know? But,
And we're stripping it, right? Before we tow it?
Yeah, we take everything that's worth anything out of it. Yeah, it's completely stripped,
Except the
that has any
seats.
value to it.
and those tires.
I'm
We could
telling
switch them out, I mean, if we wanted to, but.
you. It probably costs more.
And we've done that before, I'll say that on camera, so. But, times are hard, so we do what we have to do.
Thanks, chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Okay, any more discussion, questions, anybody? I mean, we'd like to get this approved before the end of the year at least for, there is grant money available, so, as we know.
And we put the ambulance at the park for the kids to play?
No, we don't want that thing.
As our
I
lawyer
mean,
shakes his
they've
head.
looked, and then they've talked about that, other departments using it, but it's not really, Kevin says, no, I don't want that thing. We'd have to put 20 grand into it just to, park it down at Public Works and, so anyways. All right, we have a motion by trustee Frost, a second by trustee Malone. So I need a roll call, please.
Trustee Vela,
Yes.
Trustee Garcia,
Yes.
Trustee Malone,
Yes.
Trustee O'Sullivan,
Yes.
and President Skillman.
Yes. Item C, resolution to approve the purchase of the new ambulance is approved. Thank you, guys. All right. Next item is trustee reports. Trustee Vela,
Nothing to report.
trustee Frost.
I just want to say thanks to Public Works for their work on that 31 in Huntley project. Well worth the wait. Once again, construction does take time, and it's not something that happens overnight. If you look at Randall Road and Route 62, they've been at it for a while up there, so.
And they're going to be a while still.
Yeah, and it's going to be a little longer
Couple
up there, so.
years.
But our contractor came in ahead of schedule?
10 days.
Yep, very good, very good. Well, that's good news. Breast Cancer Awareness Month, anybody that's had any issues or had to deal with that, thoughts go out to you. And that's it.
Thank you, trustee Frost. Trustee O'Sullivan.
Nothing to report.
Trustee Garcia.
Yes. I've been working with Manager Johnson, with Ben, and bringing some businesses to town. I think it'll be some good news. I can't tell yet who they are, but it's going to be good. It's going to be good. I'm a little wary with the governor's new regulation because one of the businesses is a restaurant. The other one, it's going to be nice to see our name on something. That's about it.
Yeah, that's good. We need some business. Trustee Malone.
No report tonight.
Okay. All right, yeah, and I know we're gonna have a tough time here with our restaurants again. Here we go again. So we're gonna have to support them as best we can, you guys, like we did before. I know, Kevin, you're gonna have to, go back at it again. Some of the barricades are still around, I think, out there, but if we can help them, Ben, we're gonna have to get a plan, contact them. Tomorrow, I'm sure your phone's gonna start ringing. Mine started ringing this afternoon already. So, before it was official, they already knew. But, yeah, we're gonna have to do something to help these guys out, or else I don't think some are gonna make it. Really, not this time. I think Village Pizza, they were talking about, they don't think they're gonna open over here on 25 during this, so. In the middle of winter, it's gonna be too hard to sit outside and, So we'll see. If they do carry out only, that might carry them, through it. So if we all support them, though, and they have,
Can I be excused for a minute?
excuse me?
I'll be back.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, that's what's going on. Lots of other things going on. We're working with some developers, just so the board knows, and on some good stuff coming. So, and there'll be much more to come for announcements. But we are definitely looking at Route 25, a new restaurant, hopefully soon, and after we get through this. But this is the time to build, really, and that's what developers are saying. Because once this, it could take a year to build a building, and we're going to be through this. And then people are going to come out with new ideas on new restaurants, and everything's going to change, and the people that own restaurants aren't going away. You know, that's their lives, right? We talked about that a little bit, Eric and Ben and I, about, I mean, that's what they do. So they're going to reopen, and things will be good. But our other stores, the big box stores, are going to keep making money, and we're doing fine as a village. So we're lucky that we have the big box stores. So, okay, I stall enough for you? Okay, good. Thank you. No, okay, so that's all I have.
President Skillman, if I can share one thing for the end of the meeting that a restaurant business wanted me to share. With takeout dining, while they're appreciative of it, several have asked us to share that, you know, there's the different apps, the DoorDashes, the delivery services, that if you would consider ordering directly and picking up yourself, that the costs that they're sharing with the apps make it tough for them to survive on that alone without indoor dining. So encouraging people to call in their orders and pick up, you know, obviously any support to the restaurants is positive, but if you're willing to go that extra mile, it does help them out.
So we could put some out on that, right? We could put some on the website. What is that, like Uber and DoorDash and what are all those called? I don't know. Grubhub, yeah. I mean, there's tons of different ones now. The grocery stores deliver now, so you can get your groceries delivered, you know. So it shouldn't be a big problem. We should get through this. But everybody be safe. Stay away from each other, 6 feet. And wear your mask, Brad. Thank you. Okay, so that's all we have tonight. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, sir.
To the chief? Do we have any updates on our new ladder?
So the new Quint or ladder engine combination vehicle is in full production. The production started approximately 3 weeks ago. The physical production of it, it was just, you know, from the time we signed the contract to the time they actually started the production is just waiting to get into that queue because there's so many vehicles that they're building. The cab area and then also the rear area with all the compartments is nearing the end of the build to the point where it's going to the paint shop. So once a week we're getting updates with some photographs. Start with the manager, we'll start sharing those. That, I mean, the first photograph we saw was the heat shield that goes around the motor, and if you look at the picture, you couldn't tell what it was.
A doghouse.
It just looked like a big silver glob of metal. But now it's really starting to take shape. Expected deliveries end of December. Then it'll take some time for us to go through a lot of training and making sure everybody's proficient in the use of it. So everything's going very well.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay.
I do have one question. A couple of meetings ago, Trustee Vela had brought to our attention about these secret policies that had happened. I would like to find out what it was this all about.
I don't know what, we can talk about that. I don't
And
know.
as I had mentioned, Trustee Garcia,
you're
I
looking
will discuss that when I'm ready.
If it was brought to an open meeting, I think we all have the right to know what's going on.
Okay. So I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
A motion.
I'll
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.